Hello? Check, baby, check. Maybe 1, 2. That's all right.
Okay.
All right. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes for June 14th, 2022.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. On the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
All right, number 2, review of May and June 2022 financials.
Yes, so we didn't review May because Sandra wasn't here, and then we had unfortunately cut off one of we were trying to blow it up for y'all's eyes,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
we had cut it off. So it's in the packet. Hi! It's in the packet June 1st. So if we want to go over June and then review May quickly, we can, if
Yeah.
that's okay with you, or we
Yeah,
can
sounds
start
all right
with
to me.
May.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Okay.
good to me.
So your first page of financials is a statement of activity October, so fiscal year October to current. We show that we had total revenue $58,608.92 since October. That's what we've made. So our profit was $116,324, less the event expenses of $52,379.86, and then some miscellaneous such as advertising, bank fees, office equipment, things like that. So total, so far this year we've made $58,608.92.
Can I ask a question? What's the legal and professional services, just in general?
That's going to be our audit.
Okay.
Okay, so next is a statement of activity for June specific. The ones that we want to look at is Firecracker Fandango. So we had a total revenue of $24,175.80. Expenditures of $1971.55 for a total profit of $22,204.25 on the nonprofit side. Hot summer nights so far we've had $193.60 of revenue. That's going to come from food trucks. We charge them to sign up to be at hot summer nights, but that's going to come out because what we do is we charge them $100 when they sign up. When they show up on time, pass inspection, and everything's ready to go, we refund them their $100. So that's not actually going to show as a profit whenever we have the washout in July. So total for the events so far, we've made a profit of $22,397.85. Next page is going to be statement of financial position as of June specifically. This is going to show that we have, we started with $207,108.96 in the bank. We had accounts receivable of $1544.98. Those are going to be, again, food trucks for Fandango, vendors for Fandango, things like that, which brought us to $208,653.94. At the beginning of the fiscal year, we had $145,335. And then again, with our revenue so far this year, that brings us to $208,653.94. That's what our bank account was as of June 30th. This just breaks it down further on the next one. This is for our full year. The last one was just for June. This is for the full year. It's going to break down each event by category and then tell you what our profit was minus our expenses. So you can see so far for hot summer nights we've made $6,177. For Cinco de Mayo we had retained earnings of $1,000, so that was just brought over from last fiscal year. We had it assigned in QuickBooks, and so we didn't spend it or have that event yet. So it's just showing as retained earnings, and that $1,000 has been assigned to that category. And then it just goes through downtown egg hunt. After all of our expenses and everything was brought out, we ended up making $376.38. I was pretty happy to see that. I really thought we were going to lose money. because we ended up having to buy all those additional prizes and all those additional eggs. So even with that, we, it wasn't a huge profit, but it was still a profit. And to have such a successful event that was not planned to be quite that large, I was pretty happy to see that we were able to do that. So, again, on the next page, it just goes through the same thing. That Halloween is just retained earnings from leftovers from last year that we hadn't used. Hot Summer Nights, it shows that $193.60. That's going to be our food truck expenses that we've charged them. State of Downtown Address, total, we made $5,817.24. And then it breaks down Winterfest by category. Obviously, we were pretty successful with our parade. We were unsuccessful, I believe, with our New Year's Eve event. And then it'll bring you total Winterfest, all the events categorized under Winterfest. We ended up making $12,315.95. That's going to be the Parade of Lights, Teddy Bear Tea, Winterfest Market, and then the New Year's Eve event. So that's where we get our total 21-22 event is $57,758.42 for a total revenue. Our downtown art tour brought in $27,5230. Not specified is going to be our balance that we brought over from the new year. And that's how we get to our 208 number right there. So, any questions on that? Perfect. Next, I broke down Firecracker Fandango. This was requested, how we spent our money and how we got where we were. So the first page is your full budget for Fandango. It's going to bring your categories like the site for fencing, light towers, fireworks, restrooms, stage, barricades, tent, tables, and chairs. This was our estimated amount. This is what our actual amount was.
Good job.
That estimated amount was a very little difficult to get to. I had to do research from previous years, which is not easily accessible. And so a lot of these were going to be guesstimates of what I could find or piece together. So moving forward, we'll have a more realistic idea of what to expect. So on the site, we estimated about $58,000. We actually spent about $67,000 and some change. We spent extension cords and ice chests. We needed extension cords for the jumpers and ice chests because we wanted to make sure that all of our volunteers and staff and we had an ice chest for police, fire, EMS, and we also had an ice chest for the stage. That hadn't been done in the past, and we thought it was really important to do that. So we spent $850 making that happen. Advertising, we spent a lot of money on advertising, $21,000 and some change, and then this is going to break down where it went. It was actually really good because like on all of our radio, digital, and TV, they matched. So if we spent $5,000, they matched us with $5,000. If I spent $1,000 in radio advertising, we only signed the contract if they agreed to match that $1,000 in radio advertising. So $20,000 seems like a lot of money, but when you're trying to do a citywide event, you have to be creative in where you're spending that money and make sure that you're getting good investment. And so that's how we decided to do that we only did advertising where we were matched. So our miscellaneous was our VIP area. We had expected to spend about $8,000. We ended up spending about $5,300. And then for our insurance, again, previous years it was around $2,900. This year it was $25,27. Forklift, I had seen that in previous Fandango equipment that they had rented, so I put it on here. I found out that was for this stage, and he no longer has that stage, so that's why you see a forklift on there, and then we actually didn't have to rent one. But and then generators, We rented those, and so we ended up spending $14.90 on those. That was an ordeal. Same thing with the light towers. So we had light towers rented, and then 3 days before the event, they canceled. And we needed 15 of them, and so we called, I think, 10 different companies, and we were going to have to piecemeal it together. Someone was going to give us one, some were going to give us 3. It was a nightmare, but we ended up getting it figured out.
They're
Same
all
thing
out
with
in
the
the oil field.
generators. Yeah,
My dad owns a generator like
Oh,
company.
well.
They're
They said it
next
wouldn't
year
be a
maybe we
big
can
deal.
reserve something and
Yeah.
just donate it.
Oh, that would be
The
great.
light tower thing we don't really mess with too much anymore, but the generators he does.
Yes,
So
and then generators,
we can probably
same
get him
thing.
to donate a generator
Oh, that'd
for
be
next
great.
year, and that'll
Yes.
save $1,200 right
Yes,
there.
yeah, great. I'll keep that in mind for sure. And then our band. So Rick Trevino obviously was $10,000. Tommy Turingo was $2,000. Catering, they had requested originally $500 when he got here. He said he would do $200, so we just got him $200 cash. The option was to pay for catering, purchase it, have it delivered, schedule it, figure out what they want, or we could give them cash and they could do it themselves. So we opted for the cash, and it was $200. So we went and got cash and gave that to them. And then hotels for the bands and Pantera were $19.37. So kids area, we bought new games. We had circus performers come in, the face painters we paid for, inflatables, which were all the jumpers, and then the photo booths for both VIP and the one in the market. So all those totals came up to $16,000. So if you go over on the next page, this is going to be our income for the event. So this is sponsorships of what we've done in the past versus what we hoped we could do. So our Patriot, we hadn't had in the past, but this year we had one of those. We had hoped for one $5,000. We got 2. We didn't have any $2,500 in the past. This year we had 5. We didn't expect any liberties. This year we had 1. We had 5 at 500 for the independence level, and then the city funds. And then breaks down by vendors what we've done. So we charged $400 to be right across from the main stage. Everything else we charged $200, and then we had a $50 add-on if you wanted to plug into our generator. And then we had alcohol vendors and then market vendors. So we had a total from vendors of $11,650. So that was really good. And in the past, where the sale of items was, that would have been the beer or the alcohol, but we didn't do that this year. So they typically make about 15 to 20,000 is what I can find from their alcohol sales. So we didn't end up having that. So all said and done, our estimated income was $111 with a total expenses of estimation of $123 for a total loss of $11,786. Our total income actual was $144.05. Our total expenses actual were $129,321 for a total profit of $11,083.86. So we're really, really proud of ourselves for making this a profitable venture, especially with expanding it, ran into some of the issues that we did as far as fencing was, almost $11,000. Barricades were rather expensive. We ended up having to do almost double on the hotel rooms. So we were pretty pleased with our abilities to still come out profitable. Audrey and Deshawn were really good about helping get those sponsorships, talking to people, making sure that everybody was aware that they were still open. And then they both really worked hard to get our food trucks in there and our market vendors in there. And so we're really proud of the event itself. And then also that on top of having a great event, we also made a little bit of money. So.
I know I got a question, and I know that this is something you really don't have, but I'm curious, how did the restaurants do? Because I know the sidebar across the street was just jam-packed all day, so I'm just curious what they did.
I talked to Fernando, and he just said that the house was slammed, like they were slam-packed, but I didn't ask about El Silinoense.
Yeah.
But I know even when we were tearing down it, 1 o'clock in the morning, there was a line out to get out into their bar, but I feel like that's their normal. So I don't know if it impacted or didn't impact. He didn't say. I didn't ask him specifically, but I definitely can.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know they were packed, and I'm just curious what kind of revenue they brought in.
Yeah,
so.
I know. So I know their bar in the footprint made 8,000. I know majority of our food trucks sold out. Several of our vendors said, like our teddy bear vendors said that they've been all over the U.S. and this is the best profitable event that they've had to date.
A separate meeting or an agenda item for next time just to talk about what we take away from.
That's on the agenda for this time. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, and so next on the financials, it just goes into May. We went over a majority of these last time. The only thing that had been cut off last time was the very last line item on not the first page, but the next page that just says statement of activity for May. Our total that we had brought in, so we had $13,481.90 in profit. We had expenditures of my eyes are $58.89.46 for a total profit in May of $75.92.44. That line was cut off of last month's meetings notes because we had tried to blow it up and we extended it past the page. So
Just had that problem with QuickBooks too.
I know we were trying to figure out a way to make this larger for you guys, but anytime we
QuickBooks
enlarge
is
it,
that
it
stuff.
just won't. It doesn't work. So.
You won't landscape?
We've tried landscape and it does not. It
Yeah.
stays the same size, and even
QuickBooks
whenever
is-
we're like blow it up, try it this way, it doesn't. There's no happy medium. So tiny font is what we're working
I
with.
brought my glasses today.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to take a snip tool or screen capture and then maybe in PDF just put it on a sheet?
Maybe I'm not great at computers, and I'll be honest.
In QuickBooks too, it doesn't let you have full access on some of those things. I mean,
Okay.
like you can print some of this stuff and you can try and enlarge it, and then if you try and download it and then try and do it, it doesn't always let you get some of the information on there. I think it's a protective thing so that your information isn't stolen
or anything.
So
We're gonna
it's kinda
definitely keep playing
tricky,
with it. We
yeah.
tried again this, and I can't get it. But the chamber uses QuickBooks, and Valerie is really, really knowledgeable in it. So maybe she has a way to enlarge in it. So let me put a note.
Thank you. Really proud of you guys, Fandango.
Amazing.
It's never been profitable. It's always money in, and that's what the board has always said. We're a nonprofit. We're not here to make money, and it's okay. But this year, y'all did a phenomenal job. Good job.
The profit's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's
Good
amazing.
job, guys.
But just the fact of what you did for the city is a big deal. I've heard nothing but positive from anyone that was at that thing or people that missed it. They've just heard nothing but great things about what happened on the 2nd. So it was a fantastic turnout. I mean, you could see it. I mean, you could see people were happy, excited. I mean, you didn't see any trouble out there. Everybody was just happy to be out. I mean, usually when you have big events like that, you usually see a lot of fights and things like that going on. There may have been, but as far as what I saw, it looked like everybody was having a fantastic time, and it really turned out to be a pretty good deal.
One other thing, usually 10, 15,000 is kind of a guesstimate of what we get downtown. And that number was?
We don't have an exact estimate. I'm waiting on OPD to. They have a program where they can put a drone up in the air, and then they put it into software, and it counts the objects. And so I'm waiting on that. I've heard anything between 25 to 30.
30,000. Amazing. Midland only had 10 from what I hear.
So
yeah,
again,
they were estimating 50,000. So anytime we can stick it to Midland on that, I'm all for it. We played baseball for years, and I love sticking it to Midland any way we can. So
again, with all the speed bumps y'all had, the problems you have, the generators or whatever, the light towers and all of this, and y'all still held it together, no one's bald. I mean, from ripping your hair out. Good job again.
Yeah.
Y'all did a
Great
good
job,
job
guys.
covering
Great
the
job.
problems. Good job.
They did a great job.
I walked out of the VIP, after working from 5 to 8. At 5, it was still quiet. At 8 o'clock, I walked out. I was like, wow,
it was
walked around.
wild.
It was
It was
a
wild.
big
Until that
deal.
took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I would like
Any
to-
other questions on the financials?
No.
Okay,
I would like to make a motion to accept the financials for May, June 22.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Good.
okay. So new business, discuss event coordinator position. Unfortunately, we had hired, a gentleman, when it came to, some checks. It didn't all go as planned. So HR is, reaching out to them this week, and then we're gonna open that position back up. So if you guys know of anybody who would be great for this position, I know, Deshaun, I've already asked. He's still in school and has a full-time job when he works at the campus, but we really need someone in that position. It's a lot with just Audrey and I. Deshaun has been a huge saving grace, but the quicker we can get somebody in that position, the better. So we're gonna start that process as soon as HR gives us the okay. We don't wanna post anything until that gentleman has been made aware. So we're waiting on that. City funds update, we did go and present to city council. We requested the exact same amount as last year, which was 450,000. I think it was 689. And we did get fully funded. The full amount was approved. And so we're very excited about that. I know that was a really tough decision for the city council, and that's a hard night. And there were a lot of agencies who did not get fully funded, and so we're really excited and proud that we were. So, Odessa College downtown campus update. Most of you guys know that they had their groundbreaking, and progress is beginning. So they're really hoping to have that done by next summer. And so we're very excited. We're going to talk with them about moving some of the focus from some of our events over into that direction. They've talked to me about Fandango and what that would look like utilizing their park. So it just depends on progress and how things are going, but we'll definitely keep you guys up to date and get y'all's opinion on what that potential footprint would look like. I have it on the agenda for January to kind of sit down and really hammer out that footprint, so that we don't have any issues next year with the footprint like we did this year. And then the last one under new business is just clarification of board expectations for the executive director role. I just want to make sure that I'm doing what you guys expect of me and that I'm having the communication that you want. If we need to make any changes, if I need to make any adjustments in the way that I'm communicating or how often or what I'm bringing to y'all, I just want to make sure that we both have an understanding of what my role is and what I can do better for the board and make sure that everybody's satisfied with how things are going. So I just wanted to open up the conversation. If I need to be doing something different, if you guys would like to see something different, I'm totally open to that.
I will say with your communication, if you ever need it, if you don't answer, usually you call back fairly quickly. So that's good. You do respond. Your communication is good.
Good.
Yeah, I've got no issues whatsoever.
Okay.
None. I think you're doing everything.
I don't think we can hold you accountable or assume any kind of responsibility if we don't know what you are hired to do. So maybe it would be fair if we had it's kind of black and white what that is.
Sure, like a job description?
Yeah. No
Perfect.
one can expect anything
Yeah.
more from you than that, right?
Okay.
I think that would be good. But in terms of working with the board, I mean, you're pretty responsive and you do share what the progress is on something if you don't know the answer at that moment and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I think for me, I'd like to see what that description looks like and then,
Make adjustments if
Have-
needed then? Sure.
I think that's the only way to be able to do that, and I think the city manager has to be in the room when we have that discussion.
Okay, perfect. So I'll send out the job description and then we'll add it as an agenda item for next month, and I'll make sure that Mr. Murrow is in the meeting.
I think that will be good. That's a good move historically,
Okay,
from my perspective.
perfect. Is everybody okay if I email that out to you? Is that fine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And then add to August. Okay, perfect. Event update. So Firecracker Fandango, we've already talked about a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys about ideas for the footprint for next year. Again, I have it in my mind that would happen in January. But some of the things can't wait until January. So I wanted you guys to be thinking about what you would like to see, what you think would best suit downtown, and what that would look like, so that in January we can have that on the agenda and already have ideas about what we think that should look like. And then we really, really need to start thinking about acts for next year. So we really need to have those booked by September is what I'm being told. So this month we can kind of talk about it, and then in August we kind of need to make a decision on who we would like to see or reach out to. I figured if y'all guys had ideas, what I could do is I could go back and research cost and kind of what is associated with bringing that band or that group in, and then we can talk about it in August with actual numbers. But I didn't know what y'all were thinking.
I'm curious. Had you ever attended a Fandango prior to this year?
I had, but it was
Long time ago.
Yeah.
So we kind of have a hybrid of what it used to be when it was all the way through to St. Houston,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then now we had some of Grant, so it's kind of like a hybrid from then where we
Mm-hmm.
started, right? Which I think is good. So I think a few comments I'm going to make, and then I mean if it's okay if it's not
Yeah.
consensus or not, but I definitely think I haven't been to Fandango, and it's been 4 years since I've been, and then I grew up going to it pretty much since I was a teenager. Clearly, I think we had at least double, if not 2.5 times the amount of people than we've ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
And so continuing to open up the footprint going east, if we're going to try to incorporate Odessa College. 2 things I'll say about Odessa College. That site is a secure site with gates to control a crowd, to securely bring in a crowd in and out, but not to open freely. It's not set up that way. So I think beer garden, special events, vendors, VIP, people aren't just going to be able to roam in and out of that. It's not set up that way. It will be destroyed. So I designed it, so I know what I'm saying. And so we have to be real careful on how we're going to do that. I know Ken Zartner's not from here. I mean, Odessa College doesn't have an intimate working knowledge of Fandango like we do. So when he said we can host Fandango, no, we can't.
Yeah.
It's not designed for that. But can it be incorporated and can it be full of people? Yes. We just have to figure out the right program for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are my comments on that. So I definitely think that we need to examine the footprint. My guess, just visiting with my family, Crystal and I, we were there the whole night taking everything in. We didn't even have our kids. I think next year we'll have 10,000 people less is my guess. Okay. However, if we bring in the right entertainment, I think we're going to be right back where we were. I really do. I think a lot of people just wanted to get out and experience Fandango and experience something because we haven't been able to do so. I mean, that's just my opinion again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely think we'll have the same numbers next year with the right entertainment. Sean, I don't know if you were there running the car show or not.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a car guy. I'm a car guy. My family's a car guy. I would have had a hard time putting a vehicle where it was. I think the car area deserves something a little special, where not everybody coming through that particular gate was going through the vehicles and have an intertween between the families. My family would have had a hard time with that. And so I think the car show deserves something a little more special, a little more area. Maybe it's at the end, but we can't have a gate right through the show. That didn't make any sense.
And we
to
were
me.
talking about that. Next year, we were talking about
gotta do
possibly
something
moving it
better
over
for
here
you.
more towards Texas and giving
Right.
it more space,
The-
making the streets
Something
wider.
The median was very hard to
Yeah.
maneuver
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
walking
We
in
did
and the
talk about it,
cars
yeah.
and the median.
Yeah.
So we had talked
We
about
have to
moving
do-
it to
we have to do
Texas.
something. It deserves something better.
Sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I
And
think-
we kept it off at 30
Yeah.
because of that. And we did talk, and you're right. I think we're talking more about along the lines of going towards Texas, towards your buildings in that area, because it's
Yeah.
got a much wider road, much wider setup. I think that you're right that, because I'm the same way. I'm paranoid about my cars. I mean, you know, the car, I brought one car, but that car's worth $150,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm babysitting it all day long, you know. and
So not having a public entrance by the car show would be
Yeah.
a good note to take for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that, if we move it that direction, I think it's
Sure.
going to help a bunch.
I didn't even think about that. So yeah.
My thing that I have on, well, go ahead and finish it. I'm sorry, Cruz.
The VIP experience is great. Again, it could have been pretzels or it could have been the fancy stuff. I was kind of not that I was disappointed, but I don't know that we have to do the VIP in the manner that it was done. It could be more of just a check-in area. I mean, I took it. John was there too. I mean, we took advantage of coming in, cooling off for a minute, getting a drink, and going back out.
I didn't.
But I don't know that I don't know that
get to.
I don't know that we have to put so much emphasis on that.
I didn't get to go.
It didn't seem like there were too many people taking advantage of it. So I don't know how we rethink that, or if it needs to be rethought of. I'm just saying. We had a lot of real estate. It was kind of set up nice, but it didn't seem like anyone was there.
I think we were just so busy that nobody really got to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
I never got to go
know-
in there.
How do we make it different?
Right. I know a good selling point was the actual restrooms. I know every VIP that I talked to used those restrooms.
Yeah.
So I think whatever we do needs to have actual restrooms and not porta potties, because I think that's important for VIPs from what the feedback that we got. But I agree. I think that how can we either make that VIP experience more special, or how can we diminish that expense but still have some type of VIP like.
Well, I know, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but on from my angle, I never got to go in because I was busy.
I never got to go in either.
But yeah, I know. But my wife and my grandkids went over there repeatedly. They went to the restroom or they went and grabbed something to drink. So it was being used. It's just, I think what a lot of people were doing, they were going in there. They'd go to the restroom, get a drink, and then back out.
I know the bar was really busy, and a lot of
Uh-huh.
people lacked that there was their own bar in there, because the
Right.
bars out in the footprint were 50,
No lines.
60 deep. So I think that was successful, but I think we imagined people would be in there hanging out more, and they weren't. All the action was
Yeah.
happening
It was,
outside.
yeah.
So we might just reimagine it and have it be a smaller
Yeah,
space
it-
where
it
it's
could
just
be
a private bar or
And
something.
They do
Give me a
porta
PA
potties
with-
that's on the trailer that are really nice.
Yeah.
So you would still have regular sized restrooms,
And
and
a
they can do
PA
those.
playing Pandora would probably be okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder. I mean, we can just.
Yeah, no, absolutely reimagine that. And I think that's going to come when we figure out our footprint and then what's going to make sense as to where that's located. Because I agree, having that VIP right next to the car show, right next to the main entrance, it was very congested
Yeah.
in that area. So I don't know if people didn't want to
Yeah.
fight the traffic to get there or what.
My other last thing really is even though the gate, I mean, the gates open on time and everything. I mean, the bulk of the people got there at 8, I guess, right?
The sun went down.
Yeah, as soon as it
so
was.
how do we handle the vendors? Because it wasn't enough, or the line was too long. If Crystal and I went and got there early, we would have never stayed in line for as long as people are having to stay in line.
Yeah,
So
so I
I
don't
don't
know. So in the past, there's been 9 food trucks, max. That's the most there's ever been at
And
Fandango.
also, everybody sold out.
This year we had 20.
Wow.
20 food trucks.
Yeah.
We also have only ever had one bar because we were the ones selling it. This year we had 5 bars. It just, I don't know. I think we need to increase our food trucks.
Yeah.
It's a fine line of making them so successful that they can't wait to come back, and having too many food trucks to where they're all just twiddling their thumbs, and this
Yeah.
wasn't
I don't
worth
think
it
that
for them.
The problem with food trucks, and I had a couple of them, that's the reason I know this, is that because they do make everything right then and there, it's not so much that the lines are considered, that there's so many people in line, it takes them a long time to prep something.
Right.
And so people are just you got 5 people in line, and the first person has been waiting 20, 25 minutes to get their food.
Right.
And that's really what happens. We experience that stuff with ours, and so a lot of that happens. But we'll have more restaurants open by next year. I know we'll be open.
Yeah, and
we'll
I
have
know
some other places to supply, but increasing the footprint, I think will help if we can spread out some more of those things. I think the food trucks were all in one spot, which is pretty good.
No.
But it
No,
also
there was
scattered.
four
They were
different
scattered?
They were
locations.
They were scattered?
She designed it totally different,
So
so they're
different.
scattered,
Oh, I
so it
gotcha.
wasn't one big, huge
Yeah,
one.
I
Gotcha.
thought they were distributed pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I know we didn't know how many people would be there, but that size of crowd, I don't know that we need to charge, we don't need to charge double for a vendor or food truck being closer to the stage. Like that didn't, I don't think that
It didn't,
matters.
no, it
this
absolutely
point.
didn't, and I
Yeah.
agree, I 100% agree, that was one of the takeaways, we weren't sure, you know, if we were gonna have 10,000 people,
Yeah.
then they're not gonna be over by this area, they're all gonna be at the stage,
Well,
and
yeah.
so, in preparation for that, that was our line of
And I
thinking.
think, yeah.
But I agree, I think it's a $200 or whatever the fee is,
Yeah.
a flat fee
Yeah, flat fee.
for wherever you're at in the footprint, because it didn't matter if you were in the kids area, in the, you know, by the main stage, over by Judy's Bond.
Yeah.
Everybody was crazy. It was just bananas.
The fill material that was laid out on the pavement, was that to cool the pavement?
Yes, that was,
Yeah,
so what
some
that
of it,
is it's called sanding, I think,
Yeah.
and what they did is they put that out because the temperature was going to be 100 degrees, and whenever you get the temperature that hot, the street department said that the pavement can tend to stick to your feet
Yeah.
and cause tar issues, and so they sanded it. It's supposed to keep that from happening, and it's also supposed to keep the heat from the blacktop from radiating and making it so much hotter.
It makes a mess, but I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I don't
I have
think
a-
we
And it
choice.
goes away eventually.
I have a
but yeah.
question, on the bands and stuff, is it a promoter y'all go through that says who's available this date? And we've got, you know, a list of who's available?
I'll 100%
Richard
be
Esparza.
opposite. I've never done it before,
Yeah.
and for Tommy Tarango, I reached out to him personally,
Yeah.
and then for Rick Trevino, he's been booked since 2019.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a learning process. I reached out to Adam at the Ector, and then Mr. Marrero also said someone like a Richard Esparza
Richard
might be
Esparza does
really
a lot,
good to.
and he volunteered to help
Yeah.
get somebody here
Yeah.
that we need. And you know, I mean,
Previous
and
years, we've written him a check though.
yeah. And I like
We need to discuss that.
Right.
I like Rick Trevino, but honestly, Tommy Tarango was more suited for the crowd. So the pay balance was, Rick Trevino was big at one time and all that stuff, but Tommy was really more suited for the crowd than what Rick Trevino was. But if we go out and get somebody big, and I'm 100% with Cruz, and you and I talked about this the other day, right now is the time we got to go get somebody bigger, somebody better.
Keep the-
Yeah,
Let's
and
go.
get the assignment. Yeah.
Let's start looking now and
Yeah,
vote soon
yeah.
before,
If we got to
No,
go 20
yeah, no,
grand to get
that's what
somebody,
I was thinking.
yeah, if we got to
yeah.
go 20 grand to get a big band, hey, let's
Right,
do it.
and it's you know, everybody's asked what the budget is, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not that we have an unlimited budget, it's just whatever we can fundraise.
Yeah.
So if we find an act that's 20,000, it's just up to us to go and make sure that we get that 20,000 in
Yeah.
you know, sponsorships, or we're figuring it out. So you know, does it?
Hopefully it's not, it doesn't take the same amount of effort to reach the level of sponsorship that we received this year. Hopefully it doesn't take that much effort to match that.
Right.
And then we put more effort in getting more. We've like set the stage now.
Yes.
People have experienced, there's a lot of people, we had a good time, so like our expectations, the same people are
That's
gonna
right.
sign up.
Right,
And
yes.
we let them know that. We're looking
Yes.
forward to you helping next year, supporting what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
go
Yeah, and
from
I'm
there.
hoping that since it was so successful, that will encourage, like you're saying, other sponsorships to come in and say, this could be a great investment for us if we're gonna have, you know, this many people and a captive audience, so.
And you did a
it's-
great job with the amount of time you had. You know what I
Thank
mean? You had since January, so I mean, you didn't even have a full year to really work on this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that you'll do better this year, even better. You know,
Yeah.
raising and getting people involved. The only thing I have that I really think that we need to really address is the whole 5th and 6th Street thing. There were 2 ambulances that came through. They went through 7th Street both times. 6th Street, I think, regardless of whether they didn't want to be a part of it or not, I think that it's something that obviously will not affect them, not for the Fandango. So I think if we move that footprint out, that's a lot of restaurants sit back in the footprint. John's Place, you've got that I don't know how to pronounce San Luis, whatever it is. You know, of course, the
Can't say it
house,
either.
all the other places.
Yeah, I
mean,
definitely
there's
think
lot of
that's a
restaurants there.
conversation to
So you're
have
adding a
with
lot more
everyone,
food
yeah.
places in just on 6th Street alone.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I don't think we
And-
give them the option next year.
No,
I think
they
that
just
it's
showed
part
up.
of it.
I mean,
Okay.
and
and also,
it's one night. Like,
Yeah.
get over it.
Do you
Yeah.
think
And they made a killing.
Yeah.
They'll make even more next year
he'll
being
be
inside the
open
footprint.
next year?
Yeah. Mhm.
We're moving pretty forward with the oafs. Do you
Mhm.
think it will be open by next July?
Oh, it'll be done. Now, if there's tenants in it, that's I mean, that's not.
There will.
Okay.
If you're finished, I will fill it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I think all those conversations are great. I do want to just put my 2 cents in that I worry about us expanding too much, and then it's only,
Yeah.
3 people trying to get
Yeah.
volunteers to
Yeah.
man that. At this point, it was so full. I agree it has to be expanded
Yeah.
because there was real concerns with emergencies
Yeah.
being
They were
happening
already
in
shutting
one.
off the amount of people
Yes.
coming in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
they were.
Yeah.
It was concerning
Well,
if there was an
they
emergency
were
on
talking
one
about it, yeah,
side
that they
where
were
we
like,
could,
hey.
how we could get.
Yeah.
It was difficult to traverse and things like
Yeah.
that. So I agree it needs to be expanded. I just think that we need to think about what that's going to look like. Are we going to keep it, all the way to Sam Houston? Are we going to shorten it and go up Grant more and then over to the OC part? It just needs to. I think
Yeah.
that's a conversation that we should be talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
and trying to figure out what makes sense and how we're going to ban it because
Yeah.
it was a feat.
Well, I just don't see any other way but going this way and making Short Street
Right.
is because of the amount of restaurants that are there. There's
Yeah,
the
and I
highest
think
concentration.
Texas is a great
So,
location
yeah.
for the car show.
Yeah,
So I agree that
Yeah.
it makes sense to go back to the original map where we're including Texas and we're
Yeah.
going up to 6th Street. And I think if we're bringing that, in January or
Yeah.
February early enough to where everybody can have a full, several months lead time, it's like you said, it's one evening. I think as long as we're being as upfront and as clear and telling everybody in advance, this is what's happening, here's why we're doing it. We had such a great response. We're excited to include your business for these reasons. I think that will be good. I just think we have to better prepare ourselves for the amount of work that it takes to get it done. We were out there till almost 4:00 in the morning picking up trash off the streets because Parks was supposed to help us with trash and they left at 10:00. And so it was then
Was that addressed
Deshaun,
with the
Audrey.
city manager?
I haven't got to have my meeting
Okay.
with him, but I will tomorrow.
Yeah, because Steve is over that, and there's no reason for that. I mean, they knew what the task at hand was. We were told up front that that's what the parks were there for, to help us with this event, and obviously they cut out early on us.
I
And-
Yeah, they
I
took
think
all the
Michael will
trash
take care of it.
barrels. They took all of the trash bags. We had no gloves. There was literally trash everywhere. The vendors hadn't even left yet, and the trash barrels were gone. So all the vendors' trash, all the food trucks' trash. There was probably 500 water bottles on the main stage area that they swept up and hand picked up at 3:00 in the morning. That was probably the worst part.
I didn't realize that was going on. What I thought they were doing, because I told Crystal, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. They have to go dump the trash,
Yeah.
so they have something to put the trash.
They
No,
took
they
them.
were
came
They
back.
never
They never came back. They packed it up went home.
Guys,
They took them.
Something else with all of our appointments that we've had, our city councilman, and we need to talk to the others, and I asked her to kind of look at it.
Yeah.
If downtown was what do we call it, entertainment district, and she's gonna check on it, we're gonna find out, we may not have to have the fencing for the barricade. She may have to have barricades, but not the fencing. And that may be where his bar, you can buy a drink and carry it on the street. We see it in other ones. We're only during certain times, so which could save her money, and which could help the local businesses and bars that are still down there, and still have other bars also.
So how do you contain the event? Just having barricades, so once you're beyond that barricade, you know you're within the event,
Right.
I guess.
I mean,
Right.
you
So
see
if there was
Fredericksburg-
I believe if there was like an entertainment district, it would be like kind of like our overlay zone where we have an area. I don't know all the specifics, so I would definitely have to find out more. And I don't know, even if in an overlay zone, if you can carry alcohol from inside one bar out into the street. I don't know how the TABC regulations work with that, so I would have to research that as well. But
Austin, Fort Worth, and a lot of their downtowns you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get that passed.
yeah,
They'll
like
have to go
yeah,
through
I
city
know like
council.
a lot
Yeah.
of, if you're on the Riverwalk, you can buy a margarita at Rita's and
Vegas.
walk down the Riverwalk, no problem. So I don't know what all that entails and if it matters that Grant is a state highway or not.
Yeah.
Did we get any complaints about the firework debris as it was happening. About halfway through, I was literally watching them like this because I kept getting hit in the face.
Really?
I was right.
It was
kinda
the
lived
3D.
there, but
That
thank
was
you
the
very much.
3D effect she had.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was
part of it.
extra
was
for
part
you.
of it,
That was
yeah.
a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was
No,
fine.
I
If you
didn't.
got
I've
hit,
no- I
you have to
haven't-
pay.
I haven't heard that. No,
Yeah.
no.
We're
No, I was way back here. I could see it. Yeah, but that,
Yeah, we
that
were
was-
right
It was
next to
like
the
on my
main
clients.
stage.
Oh
my car, not my car.
I mean, it was
Just-
just right there. It was cool.
I loved it. We didn't realize that Rick Trevino had so many fans,
Yeah.
and we were luckily next to the stage. My mother-in-laws were my stage managers, and so my sister-in-law is 7 months pregnant, and so we're all having to link arms by the stage because as Rick is getting off, people are trying to bum rush the stage area, and so my 65-year-old mother-in-laws, my 7-month pregnant
Oh my gosh.
sister-in-law, and me are like. So, but that's something that we learned. We need the little pony walls, the little metal.
Maybe the fencing is.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
little fencing that
Yeah.
goes
That's
around.
where you
so.
need fencing.
That's
Yes,
where you need fencing,
yes.
yeah.
So those are all things that we kind of wanted to go over and put in your ear. But if you guys have ideas on bands, we really need to start kind of thinking about at least a genre of music that you think would be beneficial to have, and then I can start kind of researching and reaching out and figuring out who would be good. So
Would Randy be a good asset for that also? Randy Ham?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Okay.
And then we've already gone over the financials for Fandango. So moving on, Hot Summer Nights, June was really successful. We're now in July in the park. We have 3 more. So this Friday, next Friday, and then on the 29th, we have Hot Summer Nights along with the Painted Potter Art Walk, which she has about 35 art vendors, local art vendors signed up.
Cool.
And they're going to do, that night it's going to be at 7 instead of 8. So 7 to 8 will be the art show, and then 8 to 10 will be the concert. And so we're really excited to partner up with her with that and have that as an addition to Hot Summer Nights. So Hot Summer Nights is in the park. It's pretty easy. Parks is letting us use their little building that's in that park just to store all of our games. So all we have to do is when we show up, we just pull them out, and it's been pretty good. So
I have a question on that. Is attendance for the last Hot Summer Night, was it just really bad?
it was awful. We had 80 people there.
And my question to you, is it the heat? If you had it in the Ector where it's not 10 million degrees, I mean, which I love it in the park. We always did it in the park, and we had a few gripe and complain that it needs to be back in the park, but or is it?
That's what we're trying to figure out. So in the Ector, we had between 2 and 350 on our best night. In the park last Friday, we had 80, and it was miserable. There was no wind.
Could it be that maybe, and I don't mean to say this in a popularity way, but just the knowing who the bands are.
100%, absolutely.
Like Current 9, when Jaime, the mariachi, like, I mean, been to Hot Summer Nights and like it's just packed out of its mind, but they're recognizable
I agree.
folks.
That's been addressed with Odessa Arts because currently Odessa Arts is making the sole decision on who's coming and booking all of those bands. I'm not in agreement with that if we're doing a joint concert series and we're putting our investment in it, we need to be behind it. And so I feel like we're working on that. So next year we're going to have a committee, and I want to get you guys, at least probably 2 from the board, appointed to that committee to kind of research. Also, I feel like we bring the same bands back over and over and over. A lot of the bands that we have this year were here just last year. And so I don't think that's serving its purpose. So
Previously, that's how it was. 3 from Odessa Arts, 3 from Main Street when we were Main Street, and everybody kind of voted on the bands, and it was a vote process.
yeah, I feel like Stephanie Urbina Jones, this was the first time she was ever here with the Honky Tonk Mariachi, and that was wildly successful. She's never been here before. So I feel like those bands that haven't been here or that who aren't reoccurring have been more successful. So I think it's important that we find a wide variety, not just one.
Are you cool with keeping the first one with Curtain on the jazz and keeping that as the jazz festival?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that it was very successful this year. I feel like it was, it's not opening us up to different demographics. I feel like it's, that very first concert was a lot of older people. And so we want to make sure that we're appealing to all different crowds, especially with it being a free concert event. Like, we want it to be fun and energetic and maybe have different demographics at each concert, or we're playing to those, at each one. And I just feel like we've had a lot of not really well known or not really fresh ideas or music that is coming to entice people to come out.
Do you think our Fandango affected that? As far as the amount of people that turned out for that, they may have still been.
Absolutely. When we were looking for food trucks for last Friday, a lot of people were like, no way.
Yeah.
We are still in recovery process. It's been less than a week since we had Fandango.
I bet
So I think that has a lot to do with it also. So that's why I'm saying we're going to gauge it. We have 3 more. And it's a good eclectic mix of folks who have also been here a couple of times. So when moving forward, I would really like it to be a group effort to kind of select those bands, maybe Odessa Arts pulls bands and then kind of gives everybody a snippet of what they are, and then everybody can have a vote in it. I think that would be the fairest way to kind of come to that decision. So
I agree. Thank you.
Lowriders Against Bullying, that happens in August, August 19th and 20th. Again, that's going to be a 2-day event where they have a barbecue cook-off, and then the next night is car show, and I believe they have 5 artists coming for a concert. It's gonna run until 2 o'clock in the morning, and so that's gonna be a big event. West Texas Fest is gonna happen September 24th. We're working with them. That's gonna be on Texas. It will be on a Saturday evening, and they too are gonna have a Texas country artist playing, and then all different breweries from around Texas. And we're really hoping that that's successful for them, as that's one of their biggest fundraisers of the year. Downtown Art Tour is going to happen in October. We're looking at October 21st. I'm meeting with Odessa Arts. I had a meeting with them yesterday. Randy's on vacation all month of July. And so I am going to meet with them whenever he comes back in August and kind of finalize those details. We're thinking, like I said last time, Dia los Muertos themed. And we had another kind of brainstorming meeting yesterday, and really got some really cool ideas. So we want to change up the footprint of where we're walking to keep it fresh and interesting. We don't want to bring any of the same stops that we had last time. We want to totally make it different. And so we've talked about the folklorical dancers. We've talked about mariachi band. We've talked about having the Playhouse come out and do a play instead of OC. So just trying to change everything up. Maybe having the Fab Lab come out from OC so they're still incorporated. And instead of the t-shirt printing, do something at the Fab Lab. So cool. I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on. I just wanted to update you on that. And then Halloween ideas. I don't know what has been done in downtown in the past and what hasn't. I do know that we've done Night of Light in conjunction with Crossroads. I told you guys that I had a meeting with them, and they're not on board for this year, but they did come on board for next year. So that will be happening in 2023. I've already got their promise on that. But for this year, what is it that you guys would like to see happening downtown, and what have you done in the past? Because I'm completely oblivious.
We've done trick or treating, trunk or treat.
And where did that take place?
We did trunk or treat last year, and it was across from.
Theater.
Was it on 4th?
No, it was across from the theater.
No, it was Lincoln Towers.
Last year?
Yes.
Yeah,
We-
because you
we
had,
went.
Yeah,
or you had a
and-
trunk.
We had trunk or treat and like Tish had, you know, the 20-foot tall skeleton sticking out of her vehicle because, you know, she has to win. And we did that, and that went over pretty well. And we had a lot of businesses do that. They could set up a tent or trunk or treat. We did that. Before
The
we've
best
done it
time I
up and
had
down
were
Grant.
The 2 years we did trick or treating on Grant, that was
Oh,
the
my.
blast.
I mean,
Or
there's
just
pictures, hundreds and hundreds of kids.
Down the sidewalk.
So kind of like all the businesses that are on Grant opened up their doors and kids could walk the streets and
then
trick or
a few of
treat.
us had the DOI tent in front of gyms, right? Big and tall or something.
Maybe gyms,
We
and then the
just gave
parking
out
lot,
candy
the
for
parking
it
lot
was
where the bowl
awesome.
is, and the other one we
Ton
had
of
some
people.
tents.
I don't
set
know
up.
how safe that was, or I can't remember now. I mean, it's been a while, but
No police
It was a
involved, no
great
children
time.
ran over. We were good.
You're good.
why did we stop?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Old school.
I'm always a fan of doing it where people aren't going to a tent, they're going to a business, because I feel like that's our job, is to encourage people to go into these businesses downtown and support them whenever we can. So if we can get them on Grant or on a side street
was all the
going
way to
into the
OPD, wasn't it?
business.
I mean, it was like
All the way
8 to, I mean,
yeah, it was awesome.
there was thousands of kids.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
So I can send out and start talking to the downtown businesses and see who would and who wouldn't be interested in being open. Was that done like on the 28th, which is a Friday? Is it done on actual Halloween, which is a Tuesday?
I think it was a Saturday.
I'd probably
So
do a
Saturday the
It's not a
29th?
school night, but again, talk to OPD if we're gonna have 10,000 kids up and down the sidewalks, if they're going, no.
Yeah, and I have my meeting with Mr. Morero tomorrow, so I can definitely go through that with him as well.
Because things we've done in the past, we can't always do because things change.
Right. Okay. So walking Grant.
And it was fun.
I think if we did that, we'd have a wild turnout. Were the businesses responsible for buying their own candy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
So
were the trunk or treats. I mean, everybody just.
Same with trunk or treat.
okay. So everybody's responsible for doing their own thing. I can just formulate a list to put out to the public to
DOI did buy candy under their tent and gave candy out also.
Oh, for sure. But I just didn't know if we were
Nope.
responsible for
The
supplying
board
candy.
members- The board members were responsible for bringing like 2 bags or something.
I
Right?
think-
Like donate.
And that's, last year we didn't,
dropped
but
off at the
years
place.
before, it was all board members, I need you to bring 2 bags of candy and, you know, certain whatever, not the cheap horrible stuff, but decent stuff, to the DO office. And I mean, literally, the board members brought it.
Okay.
As you get older, you like those.
No
Okay,
Tootsie
perfect.
Rolls, we're just getting good stuff.
Yeah, I'll get with Mr. Morero and then I can give you guys an update next month. So
Can I give out little shot bottles for the adults that have them?
Yeah.
yeah, I saw nothing.
Why is Casey hanging out over at his place?
Yeah. For Christmas, Teddy Bear Tea has not been wildly successful, you guys. It would be my opinion that we do not proceed with Teddy Bear Tea. I feel not how we want to present downtown Odessa. It seems exclusive. It seems
Expensive.
expensive, and I don't think that should be the tone that we're setting.
I
So
agree.
I wouldn't want to proceed, but I obviously will take the direction that you guys give.
Well, we've got play committee coming up also, but this is more of your board, and I think we've lost money on it. We don't have many, and it is kind of exclusive to some of them, and it's not been successful. And even though we get a $5,000 donation for teddy bears that they brand them or whatever, it's never been great. Just like New Year's, we've not done great. It's for a select few, not a big group.
So my thoughts were, and this is just ideas that I was trying. I never want to take away an event just to take it away. Like, is there a way that we can rework it and make it better? And so my thoughts were, if we didn't do Teddy Bear Tea, if in conjunction with the parade and the market, because those were both really, really successful, could we, we have that giant 15-foot snow globe. Put Santa Claus in the snow globe and have local photographer come out and do free pictures with Santa at the market, or have cookie decorating, kind of something along those lines where it's a free event. I think it should be free, and do it more that way.
We bought a mailbox last year also.
We have a mailbox for letters to
Santa.
Santa, so that could all kind of be together, and then we could leave it there. But I want y'all's direction on what you would like to see
Teddy Bear
happen.
needs to, I think it's at the
I
end
like
of
your
this.
idea. I like what you're talking about.
So do I. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And you'll bring it in play, but I think you've got our base support on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll work through that a little bit more, and then kind of come up and bring total ideas to you, because we really got to get started on marketing and things like that for those things. But New Year's Eve again. Really unsuccessful. The Marriott does not want us to have it at their hotel this year. They're wanting to do their own event. It just didn't work. I don't think it has worked. It was semi-successful in 2019, and then last year it just didn't land how we wanted it to land. And so my thoughts were, again, going back to supporting businesses that are downtown. And this is just a thought, but my thoughts were, what if we projected a countdown onto Prosperity Bank, and we had, in conjunction with all the bars downtown, supporting them, saying, everybody, there's a huge bar scene downtown, come out, have a great time, and at 12:45, everybody
Sixth
can
Street.
step outside of their
Absolutely.
everybody can step outside of their bars and see a countdown projected by downtown Odessa, and then go back in and continue their night. It's a smaller footprint on how downtown is going to celebrate, but I think that it goes more towards our mission of enhancing downtown businesses. So I think it doesn't take anybody out of those businesses.
Yeah.
I think it keeps people and actually draws people to those businesses, and then it's just a quick projection. I haven't quoted on what that would be, what that would look like, if we could do sponsorships, if we could do like a laser light show in conjunction with that. But I wanted to see what you guys thought, of course, about that, and how you think that would go.
Yeah.
I think getting rid of New Year's party.
Yeah.
We lost money the first time. We totally tanked last year, 100%. We cut some of this stuff out and went up in price. It was a disaster. The Marriott wants to do their own New Year's thing, which I'm cool in that. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And I like her idea of promoting everyone downtown, and maybe they can do some promotions with the bars, and this is going to.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
let's
We
face
would
it.
expect the bars to help promote it. They're in return promoting themselves.
Yeah.
The Marriott, if they're having a big New Year's Eve party, they could still go up onto their rooftop and see our projected countdown. It could just be a big downtown thing.
I mean, New Year's, you call it what it is. It's a nightlife type of celebration.
Yeah.
And I think you leave it at that. That these bars are you got more and more coming in. You got the Marriott wanting to do their own thing. I think that that'll create itself. I think if you try and plan an event, they don't look at it as much. Go, hey, we want to go out to the bars. We want to go out and we want to go hit every bar in there.
Right.
And so I think that's the
Well,
concept.
and also,
I think that's what
if
we're
you're not
seeing.
a bar person, but you
Yeah.
want to see the countdown and you want to be live, you could be downtown,
Yeah.
not having to be at a bar. You could stay in your car. You could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's still, I feel like it's all inclusive in that aspect. But it's just encouraging people to be downtown, and us helping the bars
I agree.
encourage that. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can do research on what that would cost, what that would look like, different options as to who, and then obviously I would need to reach out to Bushman and make sure that he would be okay with us projecting on the side of his building.
How
So,
much did we lose last year? It was like stupid. Like 20?
I believe so. Yeah. So we had a budget from our city funds account, and then we had a budget from our nonprofit account, and we needed, I think, 120 to break even, and we ended up selling like 28 tickets.
Also, you may look at lighted drones.
So I've looked into a lighted drone show when we weren't sure about fireworks, and it's about $25,000. Again, if we can get sponsorships, if we can get things like that to support making that happen, I don't see a problem with that. But I think if we're going to project it onto the side of a building, like a laser light show with a countdown or a projected ball drop might be more kind of what we were looking for.
But also with money you get from hot money, you're saying so much just for this, and this, right?
Correct. So
and if you don't spend it, do we have to give it back?
Yes. Some of our funding for events comes from city funds. Some of it does not. So like Easter, we don't have any money allocated from city funds. It's all from our nonprofit funds. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on what we have allocated in the next month, so that whenever we start thinking about what's going to be best, we can look at what we have in city funds, what we think we could spend out of the nonprofit funds, and then where we can seek sponsorships. So that can definitely be a conversation for next month. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I'll get all that ready for August. Old business, discuss grants. Ambler Law, I still haven't been able to get in touch with. She is now 19 months past the time of signing her contract. Everything is done. We are just waiting on reimbursement, and I cannot get in touch with her.
Can legal send her a letter that just says we need to get this matter taken care of in a timely manner?
Yeah, I don't know if they can put a time frame on it, because in the contract that she signed, it wasn't.
But in a timely manner.
I'm not sure. I can reach out to legal though for sure.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, sorry, girlfriend.
So moving forward, we did amend the contract to address that issue. I don't know that we have a legal basis to send a letter on. That's not really a legal issue because it's not in our contract at all. So it might be more beneficial coming from maybe city leadership or someone, chair of the board, to say, hey, this really needs to happen. But we don't have a legal basis to stand on.
I know her.
So.
Okay. How much money are we talking on this one?
I just looked it up because I knew you guys were going to ask me. I think it was like 120.
If you're going to give me 120, you know what? I'm going to respond to you.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I'm definitely keeping track of how many times I'm calling her, when I'm calling her, and she doesn't have a voicemail set up, so I'm not able to leave a message. So, petty cardio. So again, this is a little different. So I found 2 different contracts, one signed in July, one signed in November of 2021. So I'm getting with legal right now to try to figure out which one is the correct one. They're in the process of suing their contractor. They've hired legal counsel and they are kind of at a standstill. So they're going to be asking ODC for an extension. And so I'm trying to figure out if it was July, we need to ask for that extension next week. And I've got us on the agenda just in case. If it's November, then we can wait until closer to November and we'll ask for the extension then. So I'll keep you guys posted, but we are working on those.
Are they identical contracts?
Yes.
Dated differently?
Yes. Okay. Just different signature dates. So I don't know if we signed it in July and then nothing happened, and so then they finally came back in November and we pushed it through, or what happened. So I'm getting with legal. Icon Tavern is working great, still making progress. No concerns about getting done in time. Any other updates from you guys that you want to talk about?
They should start the front facade here shortly, if not early this week. Middle of this week, sometime first of next week. So.
Plywood missing today.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. So they got a plywood missing. So
perfect.
That's good. So they're getting
Little McJack, they've started progress. They're making good progress, and they're hoping to be done very quickly. They didn't say exactly when, but I'm thinking probably November. They really want to be done by the end of the year so that they can hit up, their Christmas specialty store. So they're really hoping to have everything ready to go by then. So Part 2 did get approved by the city council, and so I'm waiting for Mr. Rios to come and sign his documents, and then I'll send them over to legal and to city management, and they'll sign it, and then he can get started. Same thing with homemade wines. That was approved by city council, and so I just got the contract from legal last week, and we're waiting for her to come sign it, and then they'll be ready to rock and roll once we get it passed through. So once they sign it, it usually takes, I would say 1 to 2 weeks to get all the other signatures on it and get it official before they can begin work. So
I'm surprised you're waiting on her. I thought she would be at your office waiting for you to come to work an hour early or something.
She's so excited. So I really feel like they'll be in to sign it. It's just kind of been crazy last week and this week. So so that's all on the grants. We've talked with a couple that are interested in pulling grants, so I might have updates for you next month, but as far as what we have right now, that's it.
What is the maximum amount for the infrastructure?
Infrastructure in tier 1 is 200, and then for facade tier 1 max of 25,000. So almost $250,000. We're also, speaking of grants, on updates, I had a meeting with ODC representatives, and we're going to have a discussion at next week's meeting about expanding Tier 1. Tier 1 is very saturated with people who have got the grants, and so they're looking at potentially expanding Tier 1 to encourage people outside a little bit further to start getting the grants, and so that would, Tier 1 would become tier 1 and 2, and then it would encompass, and then we would do away with tier 4. So I'm working on a couple of different options that I'll present to them next week, and I will make sure to keep you guys updated at our next board meeting. If those tier boundaries do change, I think it would be great to help encourage, revitalization, not just on Grant, but on those expanding streets as well. So
Casey, can we get, and maybe it's a group thing, together with somebody from the city saying, what do you call or what do you specify to do? Like, at one time, paint could be part of it, then we hear paint's not part of it,
paint can be on the exterior,
but not interior.
no interior paint because it's not code required. So anything that's not code required is not covered on the infrastructure grants.
But if walls are peeling and chipping, they make you redo them.
Not according to code.
And that's why I think we truly need to do some of it like flooring. They say flooring's not covered, but if it's a trip hazard, are we allowed to fill cracks and to make it level and do other things?
It just depends. So I did do a lot of research most recently, meeting with our building inspector for the city, going over the International Building Code, which just got updated, and that is like reading Greek. But I tried my hardest, and I reached out to the different departments that are involved in that and try to get an understanding. So just like on lighting, we can't cover light fixtures because they're not required by code. It's called illumination in the code. So they will cover the electricity or the electrical work to get to that light fixture, but it does not cover the light fixture. It doesn't cover restrooms, but it does require that you have ADA accessible restrooms. So if you have a restroom, but you need to bring it up to ADA compliance, that portion would be covered. It doesn't require cold water, but it does require hot water. So the plumbing to get the hot water to that restroom would be covered. So it's little loopholes like that. It doesn't require any kind of flooring unless you're on a pier and beam, and then you must have a subfloor. So if their subfloor on a pier and beam structure was messed up, that would be covered. On a slab, nothing is covered at all whatsoever. There's no requirements on a slab floor.
Can that be changed? I'm not getting it, but can that be changed where some of it?
Because it's strictly by building code. And the reason that it's like that is because the ODC created these grants to bring buildings up to code, not to beautify them. So they want to make sure that these buildings are safe and accessible for businesses, and then it's up to that business to do whatever beautification they choose to do to those buildings. But yeah, that was to help with the dilapidated buildings that we have downtown. And so their way of doing that is allowing this grant, but really it's a grant to bring you up to code, not to bring your building to specifically what you want.
Okay.
So.
Perfect.
Anything? I
All right,
think,
guys.
comments, suggestions, I think we covered a lot, so I think
Thank
we're
you.
good on that, so. Again, great job, guys.
Thank y'all
Really,
very
really,
much.
That Fandango was
Thanks.
amazing.
Good.
And,
All right.
I guess we'll see you guys in August.
Adjournus.
All right, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
I think you're.